ladies and gentlemen. Today I'll speak to you about our developing new high-grade gold district, the Hundi district in southwestern Mongolia. What makes our company unique? We're a company that has now established over 1 million ounces of open pittable gold at greater than 2 grams per ton, but it's located in a district that's never before seen any modern exploration. A district that we've now added 3 deposits to in about 5 years. So it's very fertile, very prospective, and it's an area that we know better than anyone else in the exploration business, and we intend to continue to explore this and add to that 1 million ounce base. Our company has been involved in Mongolia since 1996. I arrived there 20 years ago. We have established the largest proprietary database of any company working in that country. This year we became the first cross-listed company on the Mongolian Stock Exchange, and through that we've added 6,000 Mongolian shareholders, which has improved our social license to operate in the country. We have a share price today of 26 cents, a market cap of 42 million, and approximately $3 million in cash. We have a shareholder base that includes Teck Resources, which is the largest individual shareholder on the register. Management and directors also own 8%. As I mentioned, we have a number of Mongolian shareholders and institutional holdings from Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, and here in Canada. I took this picture 2 days ago in the Beijing airport, and here we have the highest traffic area in the airport right next to the departures gate. And instead of a Tim Hortons, which you might have in Canada, they have a gold store. And to understand that, you have to look at the amount of gold that's consumed in China. 5% increase year over year. Up to this date this year, they've bought about $20 billion worth of jewelry alone in China. It's just incredible the amount of growth we've seen in the market for gold in this country. You can see that in the table here on this page, triple consumption over the last 10 years. And we're not only seeing that in China, we're seeing that in a number of countries, particularly Russia, Turkey, and India. And also in Mongolia, we've seen a tremendous increase in the amount of gold purchased by the central bank as they look to improve their reserves. Moving on to the projects, we're located approximately 200 kilometers from the Chinese border at a border port called Seke. This location, which you can see in the center part of that map, didn't exist when I arrived 20 years ago. There were no rails or highways or mines in that district. Everything you see in the southern part of that country, in the Gobi Desert, and northern China along the border has been built in that period of time. It's just amazing the amount of infrastructure added to this country during that period, and that will continue, which will make it much easier for projects like ours to come on stream. Now, we're a gold project, so we don't have a lot of need for infrastructure, but nonetheless, we'll bring in plant and equipment through that border point, and we'll be able to access services and labor that didn't exist 20 years ago. Our projects, Alton in the north and Bayan Hundi in the south, in combination, today they are approximately 1.5 million ounces all in resource, and I'll come back to that in a moment. They're approximately 16 kilometers apart. We are the first company in this area to make a discovery, and there's been no modern exploration outside of our work in this region. This is the resource we reported in September. As I mentioned in the top right, you can see that global resource at a low cutoff of combined 1.5 million ounces at about 1.2 grams gold equivalent. But the reported resources in the center of the page at a 0.6, 0.7 cutoff, we have approximately 1.1 million ounces of just over 2 grams per ton. For the PEA, what we will focus on is the very high-grade portion of this resource in the measured and indicated portion, which you see at the bottom of the page, 1.4 grams. So 640,000 ounces of 3.7 grams will be the subject or the core of that initial development. And we'll be looking at about 60,000 ounce per year production using those grades. Taking those grades in a comparison with the top producing gold mines, open pit gold mines globally, you can see where we sit in the top decile of that group at about 3.7 times the average grade. In addition to the positives associated with the grade, this deposit has very good recoveries. It's a simple crush, grind, and leach operation, and we expect recoveries to be in the 92 to 93% range using conventional processing. As mentioned, the projects are approximately 16 kilometers apart. You can see in the south the Bayan Hundi proposed pit, and adjacent to that will be the plant. which will mine from that pit for the first 5 or 6 years, at which time we'll start to access ore from the Alton project to the north. This is a cross-section through Bayan Khundii, unique because of its high grade, but also because it's exposed at surface. Our first hole in Bayan Khundii was 7 meters of an ounce of gold from surface, and you can see some of the other intersections that we have here. It's not uncommon to see 30 to 40 meters of 5-6 gram intersections, again, coming to surface. That pit will start at Striker, and it'll expand into midfield and then eventually into the north midfield area. Our team includes Cameron McRae, who was appointed to the board this year. Cameron was a former president of Oyu Tolgoi. Recent addition to the mining studies group is Julian Lawrence, who has built a number of mines in the region. Paul Corp is an advisor who operated the Buru gold mine in Mongolia. And also on the board are David Mosier and Chris Cowan, who have a long history in the mining business. We're entering the permitting stage. We will file our mining license applications over the next couple of months. I talked about infrastructure. It has improved dramatically over the last decade. We have a joint venture underway with the IFC to look at a hybrid solar diesel plant to support the mine. We have drilled off a water resource in a nearby basin, and we're working with the local community to establish vocational training to build up a labor force in the local community. Looking at our timelines, we delivered our resource in September. We'll deliver our PEA before the end of the year. We've recently reported on our regional drilling results, which I'll speak to in a moment. We expect to go into the mining, licensing, and pre-feasibility work in 2019, and then begin to look at development plans and project finance late next year. Moving into the regional district scale potential, southwestern Mongolia, southern Mongolia, sits within the central orogenic belt of Central Asia. This is the second most prolific gold belt in the world after the Vit Basin and has a number of 10 million ounce plus deposits. Where it cuts through southern Mongolia has never seen modern exploration until we arrived there about a decade ago. We focused on this area you see in yellow. The green on the right is the Oyu Tolgoi belt area. We've invested approximately $6 million into regional exploration within this 400-kilometer long terrain, and we've established a proprietary database that now has 20 high-priority targets that we'll be acting on as they open up. Sorry, I knew I'd get that. As they open up through the tendering process. That tendering process, or licensing process, just opened up in the last couple of weeks, and we've already initiated our first tender application. Also in the portfolio is the Zunmab molybdenum project. This is a very large molybdenum copper porphyry deposit that is sitting on the shelf because of low molybdenum prices, but it does contain an in-situ resource that would be valued at about $5 billion based on the metal in situ today. We're also just beginning exploration on the Ealand copper project. We had a few holes into that, which you can see some of the results on the right. Quartz sulfide sheeted veins and stockwork in an intensely altered porphyry system. So that's early days. The Alton project, although we've established about 750,000 ounces of gold equivalent here, this is also still early days. A number of targets along the 5.5-kilometer trend yet to be explored. And then on the Khundii license, you can see Bayan Khundii in the south. Throughout this 11-kilometer long license, we have a number of solid gold targets that we've done some preliminary exploration on. We've had hits up to 70 grams per ton over 2 meters at Alton. Some good success at Khundii North, and this work will just continue as we advance the projects over the coming months and years. So looking forward, we see ourselves with a two-pronged approach, moving towards production on the current resources, Alton and Bayan Khundii, and continuing with our exploration as we continue to seek out new discoveries in this district. To sum things up, we have unique high-grade deposits that in the initial years are 3 times the global average grade. Mineralization comes to surface in both Alton and Bayan Khundii. Exceptional exploration upside. We have growing infrastructure in the region, substantial Mongolian experience, an emerging gold sector in Mongolia that the government is looking to incentivize, looking to increase hard rock gold production, and we have a very strong social license to operate now underpinned by 6,000 Mongolian shareholders. Thank you very much.